So we are joined now by former U.S. Ambassador to NATO, Ivo Daalder. He is the CEO of the Chicago Council on Global Affairs. Thank you, Ambassador, for being with us. You've had this job, right? This sort of tough job of being the top diplomat from the U.S. to NATO and dealing with some of these sensitivities. Knowing that, what are those sensitivities of communicating with Ukraine right now about its desire to be a member of NATO?
So there are really two sensitivities, Brianna, that are important here. One is what Natasha mentioned. The reality is that there is not a single NATO country that today wants Ukraine into NATO, because if Ukraine were to be a member of NATO today, then NATO would be obliged to defend every inch of Ukrainian territory, and it isn't prepared to do that. It hasn't been prepared since the beginning of the full-scale invasion, and it's not prepared to do so now. So that's one problem. If you lay out a timeline that says NATO will invite Ukraine once the war is over, you actually give an incentive to the Russians to continue fighting for as long as they can therefore prevent Ukraine from joining NATO. So that's the dilemma that they are playing with. The second piece is that there is disagreement among allies about whether Ukraine, even if there was not a war, is today ready to join the alliance. As Natasha said, great step forward. By NATO, Ukraine no longer needs a membership action plan, but it does need to demonstrate that its democracy is strong and vibrant, that it has dealt with corruption in the way that has defined the state for so long. And those are areas that need to be worked out. And NATO is prepared, and the leaders said they were prepared to help Ukraine move along. That's where we are, an absence of agreement within the alliance about how far Ukraine has come, and the reality that a country at war is not necessarily a great ally to bring into an alliance at this point in time.
So when you see Zelensky saying anything without a timeline here is absurd, how are you reading that? What is his audience for that?
Oh, I think it's a domestic audience and an important domestic audience. I mean, clearly, Zelensky and the people of Ukraine are united in fighting against the Russians, in making sure they win this war, and they want and deserve all the support they possibly can have, not only today, but in the long term. And there will be agreements on long-term security support for Ukraine, and ultimately for NATO membership. So I think what he's mentioning is we need to continue to fight, but he also needs a signal from NATO that NATO continues to be with them, including the ultimate price, membership of the alliance, which again, the leaders reiterated will happen, that Ukraine's place is in NATO. That's an important statement.
You see NATO more united than ever, expanding. We've heard that from member nations, that since this war has begun, NATO has only gotten bigger. It has defied Vladimir Putin's expectations. Is his war essentially backfiring on him?
Oh, absolutely. This will be seen as one of the greatest strategic failures in history. The idea that you could invade a country, take it over, and that the rest of the world would stand by and let it happen, which clearly was what Putin was banking on, has proven to be an utterly disastrous calculation. First of all, they weren't able to take over Ukraine. The Russian military has suffered incredible losses, both in personnel and, of course, in the capabilities. It is a much diminished army. Secondly, it now faces a Ukraine that is united, completely united, behind the idea of Ukraine as an independent nation that belongs to the West. And third, they face a NATO that is bigger, larger, with a stronger capability along Russian borders, and that is committed to remaining the defensive alliance dominant with the kinds of military spending that is now forthcoming for the long term. You can't think of anything worse when you think about where Russia is sitting today compared to where we're sitting on the 23rd of February, 2022.
Ambassador Daalder, thank you for your time and your perspective.
My pleasure.